Jesus said, I'm going to build my church, and hell is not going to be able to prevail over it. But hell seems to prevail all the time. We see it all over the place. Sometimes the oppression feels so thick we can't breathe. And we get angry at God because we think somehow he's not keeping his promises to us. But I want to just pose the question, what if we've settled for a partial miracle? We've not pressed in for the rest. And God is waiting for us to press in and get to the fulfillment of it, where we can then operate in the fullness of his power, and he moves as he promises to. What if we've been stuck in that partial promise? There's evidence of life, but there's no breath. There's no power filling us, moving us. We're just struggling in our own strength. We haven't caught the wind of the Spirit and allowed it to change us, heal us fully, restore us. We're saved. We're alive now, but falling short of being filled and empowered by the breath of God. And this is what he wants to usher us into. This is the promise that he is holding out to us. And he answers it when he says to Ezekiel in verse 9, he says, then he said to me, now I want you to prophesy to the breath. Again, invites Ezekiel into it. He doesn't move without Ezekiel cooperating and doing what he commands him to do. And he says, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, Son of Man, and say to the breath, thus says the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and they stood on their feet, an exceedingly great army. This is the moment that the army rises. This, when they are come and they are filled with the breath of God. This is the church that Jesus foretold that hell cannot prevail over. Not just possessing the Spirit of God, but filled and moving in the Spirit because they have caught the breath. The breath of God has blown through the mouth of Ezekiel and stirred up something else in the hearts that have caught the wind and brought them alive. This is what God is after. This is the victorious position that he wants us operating from. And then in verse 11, it says, then he said to me, God continues to speak, this miraculous power has been poured out. The army rises to their feet, and God says to him, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. He says, these bones are my people. These are the ones that belong to me. These aren't the lost that he's talking about. These are mine, and they've been convinced to be living as dead bones in the wilderness when I have made them an army. And then he says, behold, they say, our bones are dried up and our hope is lost. We are indeed cut off. Do you notice that? The miracle has happened, and then God says, then he said to me, then after this has taken place, and he says, these people are saying to me, our bones are dried up and our hope is lost. They still see themselves as the dry bones. It's taken place, but they have not received it. Their words about themselves don't agree with God's words over them. And so they don't experience the reality of the miracle that God has done for them. This is where we are. The miracle has happened. We just sung about it. The victory has taken place. It is done. We are not working towards something. We are working from something. But we have got to take hold of and believe in our hearts the truth of what has happened. And the problem is we still keep seeing ourselves as the dry bones when God says that is not who you are. I have covered you. I have filled you. I have made you an army. I have made you strong. And I myself am in you.